Earlier this week, we reviewed something from JP Morgan that indicated a real estate super cycle is coming. I want the people that watch my channel to realize that not only is a super cycle coming, because it will, and we'll get into that in a few minutes, but I think the 50-40-10 supplied by Velocity Mortgage is the best tool to take advantage of that. We're going to have Stephen Dow and I talk about this, but before we do, let's do that marketing spiel.
Although I work very happily for Velocity Mortgage Capital, all the ideas and topics discussed on this channel are that of my own. So let's get another good one going.
There you go. So let's talk about the super cycle in general. Basically, what JP Morgan is saying is the commercial real estate collapse is coming. It has started in Class A. It has not yet hit Class B and Class C. I talked with Jonathan Twomley early this morning. He indicates Class A is about 25 to 30% discounts right now. And he thinks that Class B and Class C might see 50% discounts. What does that mean? That means a multifamily building that may have sold for $3 million will be forced to sell for 1.5. The question is when. Right now, we have plenty of extend and pretend, but that cannot last forever. So one of the things that I am doing now and will be doing for the next year or two is trying to figure out who is in trouble, who is in stress. Because when you go and you start looking for these big apartment buildings, if you're doing it right, I believe you should bring 3 offers: cash, seller financing, and the one in the middle, 50-40-10. Cash will be the lowest, seller financing will be the highest, but the 50-40-10 is a nice middle ground. Stephen, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. A little rainy here in Central Texas, but not too bad. Last week was pretty cold. We had like a little bit of a cold spell going through the Midwest, and we were kind of on the lower part of it, so we weren't getting like a lot of snow. We got a little dusting on like Monday, and then it kind of just slowly just melted away. Yeah, the next couple of days. But Houston got a good chunk. Even like New Orleans, northern Florida. The beaches of Pensacola, Florida.
I saw that
snow.
Crazy.
That was a crazy sight. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, no, doing great. I agree with you. I've had a lot of calls because I think people are starting to really understand the nuance of the product, or at least to some degree better than what it was before. They still want to know more details because there's a lot of moving parts to it. But otherwise, yeah, I would agree with you with the 3 options because again, unless you're cash heavy, then that's the only offer. But otherwise, that's ideally maybe not your, you don't want to be too cash poor. So, and if it's seller, maybe you can get slightly better terms if you're going to meet them halfway with the 50-40-10. That's usually how that works. Otherwise, it's usually like a 2-year loan, at like 5 or 6%. But man, those 2 years come by real fast.
I will never do a term less than a decade.
Yeah.
I had a loan one time blow up at me at the wrong time, the term, and that was stressful. Yeah. No thanks. Won't do that again.
No, but again, that's why the attractiveness of our loan for commercial properties at 30-year fixed, and you can even add up to 10 years of an interest-only payment for the first 10 years of your 30-year fixed loan gives a lot of flexibility, just in case if things happen, along the way in the first couple of years where you're trying to stabilize it, you could fall back on an interest-only payment. So
I think that's actually we haven't talked about that in a while. Again. Because again, I have done this before.
Mm-hmm.
I plan to do it again. And I got to tell you, I probably will take the interest only 10-year. I might do 5 years, but I may take the full 10. Why? Because when you're going to take over an asset like this, it is going to be distressed. The owner or the bank knows they're going to lose it. So they stop doing maintenance. So if you're going to pick up a multi-million-dollar building at 50% off, you're going to be inheriting a pretty heavy lift. You're going to have a year, 2, 3 years of capital outlay, just doing the basics, right? I remember the building we bought, 18-unit building. Every unit had to be, changed top to bottom, right? It's just the seller had not done even cosmetic maintenance for better part of 3.5 years, and stuff just builds up. So I do think, when this comes around and should I get more 50-40-10s, I'll be taking that 10-year option because again, think about it, right? $1 million loan, $1.5 million, you're probably saving $2,500, $2,700 in principal pay down.
Right.
That's $2,700 I could put into a unit.
That's one
So
way
I
to
think
look at it.
yeah, I mean, yeah, because the plan is going to be to fix it up, hold it for the market to turn, and then, cash out refi or whatever it is and get all my money back. Because it took about 5 to 7 years. So yeah, I probably will do the 10-year now that I'm playing it out in my head.
Yeah. Again, the key here is to give the borrower a little bit of payment relief in the beginning when they're needing it most, when they're trying to get the property a little bit more stabilized or value add as far as increasing rents. And so, yeah, I've always found that it was a good tool. Again, depending upon the situation, because sometimes with the smaller loan amounts, it doesn't really impact anything. But the larger ones, like you said, those larger apartment buildings and such that need a little bit more time, this could definitely be a good alternative. And in addition to the 50, 40, 10, in addition to all those other great benefits. But yeah, there's a lot of little levers you can pull. Just depends on
Yeah.
the resources that we can play with and what's going to be acceptable. But
Yeah, I'll use a real life example of where the 50, 40, 10 would have come into play in a deal I think we closed in 2011. It's a building that was being sold for 1.4. Why was it
mhm.
being sold for 1.4? Because that's what the previous owner paid for it. They were upside down. They knew they were in trouble. There was a bank gave him an extension and then another extension, extended, pretend, hope and pray. Didn't work out. We ended up negotiating directly from the bank, and it's interesting. They ended up having to do a deal at 700 grand, and they financed the entire thing. Right, zero down. We put like 50K away for expenses in an escrow account, but that was it. It's interesting to think about this because I could have gone in probably a year earlier and said, you know what? Why don't we do $1 million? But what I want to do is I want you, the bank, to go in second position, perhaps, or something like that. It just would have been another conversation instead of waiting and waiting and waiting until the asset was almost unrecoverable. It was so disgusting. But that stuff's coming, man.
No, I mean, isn't that if but when?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's going to be people who can't get financing just because current rate environment that they're coming into,
Mm-hmm.
they probably won't debt service. Don't know if their cash flow is any better than 5 years ago when they first got that loan.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a good number of people that are going to not be able to refinance, and so they're either going to have to sell or bring a lot of more money to the table to be able to refinance. There's always that as well. So
Cash in refi. Yuck.
yeah, that that's like getting served for, what I mean, but
Yeah.
getting sued, you know what I mean? So
Yeah. Not
it's
good.
not a good feeling. So but yeah, in situations where people can't do that and they got to sell, so you're gonna have a lot of opportunities for purchases. Obviously, this tool could also be of use. And then maybe if they couldn't sell based upon the normal conventional route, the 50, 40, 10, if they got enough equity, I think it's going to allow certain people that might have maybe felt that they're stuck just because,
Yeah.
the environment they're in. Now I think this is just another tool. I think it would be really good if there was a way we can get this, more out to sellers. You know what I mean? Because I
Good
think
point.
once they they'll be more than, happy to put that in the listing advertisement. And I think, that would attract a lot more buyers, because then now with buyers seeing sellers throwing that out there, oh, by the way, you can put a little 10% down. Wait, what? So
Yeah.
I think that's probably, but it's like reverse marketing almost. We don't
Yeah.
have to, all the buyers are going to come to us. It's just, they're looking at the stuff that we're going to be
Yeah.
posting that stuff on. So I think that would be a good thing with realtors. I think that would be a good angle.
Yeah. You know what? Realtors, I think he's right. I think if you're a realtor and you're selling an apartment building or a house and, you're not getting the nibbles at list price,
Right.
understand the 50, 40, 10, because if the seller's in a situation where they can take 60% of the equity in cash, but hold the 40, and then the buyer comes in with 10% down, you're going to get a higher price. That's just how the math works.
Right.
So that's an
Agreed.
interesting thing.
Yeah, no, I've always thought of that. It's just that I didn't have kind of a platform to kind of launch that without having to call a bunch of realtors and such. I'm kind of busy at the moment, so I don't want to, it's that old saying, be careful what you wish for, because I'm good at marketing. I'm good at bringing it in. It's just I have to scale up to kind of get to that. So, but nevertheless, no, I think that if we could get more sellers to understand that, I think that it would be a much more accepted tool.
Yep.
And something that I think, again, because it's more of a pitch to the seller than it is the buyer. What buyer wouldn't want to put down 10%?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Realtors, do me a favor. If you're a real estate agent, real estate broker, leave a comment below. Reach out to Stephen Dow. Understand why the 50, 40, 10. Oh, by the way, real estate agents, it could net you more money.
Yes.
Because you're paid on the price. So again, understand why the 50, 40, 10 might be good for you as a realtor. Email them at sdow@velocitymortgage.com. And again, I'm looking forward to our students like Stephen out in, what was it, Oklahoma, buying apartment buildings with 50, 40, 10.
Right.
I think that's going to be the sign that really makes this go. Any closing thoughts?
No, man, like your previous video earlier this morning, hug your loved ones. You just never know. You know, we had a conversation right before we started recording. You know, don't want to get all like too like humdrum, but it's just life. And then as you get a little bit older, like this past week, man, it's just a lot of, you know, people passed. I mean, we're just at that age group, Mike, you know. I don't know about you, but I'm in my 20s now. What? What did I say?
Yeah, you're in your 20s.
What did I say?
20s.
Yellow don't crack, Mike. Look.
Yeah, you look good. You look good.
Look, not even the lines in the neck. Look at that. Look at that. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. No, just trying to make light of it, man. That's usually like a defense, you know, mechanism of mine. But it's been kind of sad, you know, a lot of the week. Just a lot of people's loved ones have passed, and then the tragedy from yesterday. Just a split second, you know, blink of an eye, and then it just also goes by fast too. When you're like, even if you've lived long, you know. We got a friend whose grandma has been here for 98 years, dude. You know, mentally super sharp, you know, but it's just her body, you know, like. I think she's got a congenitive heart, you know, a disease. So she's slowly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's just tired, but she's like spitfire, like really sharp still. But it's just, you know, and then you just see all these like just episodes happening. But man, dude, kiss and hug your loved ones. You know, tell them you love them.
Be kind.
Yeah, be kind. You know, and stop and smell the flowers a little bit. You know, don't be a workaholic like Mr. Steve Dow. You know, so. Yeah. Other than that, no, man. Just positive stuff. There's a lot of business out there, man. We're seeing it. I mean, I'm looking at the company, you know, fundings for the month, and we're up by not a little bit, by a lot. But usually, you know, the 80-20 rule, 90-10 rule, right? No, I don't know. This year, a lot of people really just.
I think people are getting it. I think people are realizing there's no hope for big rate drops. They're doing deals that make sense. They're writing disrespectful offers. They're following up. Buyers markets are amazing.
Yeah.
Most people don't realize that now's the time to strike. Now's the time to write creative offers. So it makes total sense to me.
I agree. And I think some of them are pulling cash out, using, you know, getting some dry powder, making some offers, you know what I mean? So, I mean, again, I can't really show you internal stuff.
Nah, it's okay. I don't want to see. It's good. I'm good. All right, buddy. We'll talk next week.
All right, Mike. Have a good weekend.
Yep.